I always say that, you know, there's, if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears.
Simon Sinek is an author and leadership expert. His TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action, has more than 14 million online views. His new book is called Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So what's the most important thing for a leader to understand and be?
Fundamentally, a leader is like a parent. You know, just like a parent, we put the lives of our children before our own. We want them to grow up, become confident, and go on and achieve more than we could for ourselves. Leadership is exactly the same. You know, leaders are the ones who are willing to risk, when it matters, their own interests so that others may advance.
You said that it's really important, though, that you put your head and your heart into it. And that really, when you work together, you said nobody bonds over deadlines, they bond over camaraderie. And that's what people need to understand in a work environment. Bosses need to understand.
We are naturally cooperative animals. Our natural inclination is to trust and cooperate. But trust and cooperation are not instructions. I can't just tell you to trust me. And I can't simply tell two people, I want you guys to cooperate. Trust and cooperation are feelings produced by the environment in which we're working. And that environment is created by the leaders. And when we feel safe, when we feel that our leaders have our interests in mind, the natural reaction, the natural human reaction is we look out for each other. We work harder, we're more innovative, we offer our ideas and our best talents.
All of it sounds good, Simon, but companies need to make money.
They absolutely need to make money. And this is the great irony, right? This is the great irony, which is when our leaders put our interests first, we work harder and they make more money.
And you have a great example in why you called this book Leaders Eat Last. Tell us how you got that title.
It comes from a conversation I had with a Marine Corps general, Lieutenant General George Flynn, who actually wrote the foreword to the book. And I asked him, what makes the Marines so wonderful? And he said to me, officers eat last. And he's absolutely right. When you go to any chow hall anywhere in the world, you will see the Marines line up in rank order. Most junior first, most senior last. It's not in any rule book, and nobody tells them they have to. They do it because that's how they view leadership. We view leadership as a rank, they view it as a responsibility.
So how do you foster that in a work environment? How do you be a leader and foster that?
Create that culture.
Create that culture.
Leadership is a choice, just like becoming a parent is a choice. Having the child is the fun part. You know, it's the raising of the child that's the hard part. It's exactly the same. Starting the company, that's the fun, you know? But actually becoming the leader, choosing to put people's interests before your own, that's a choice.
So how did you become an expert on leadership?
I'm uncomfortable calling myself an expert in anything, to be quite frank. I'm a student of leadership.
Yes,
well, expert.
Yeah, don't believe everything you read. I'm a student of leadership. Yeah. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by the people in the organizations that seem to outperform the rest of us. And the great irony is the great leaders, that the ones that put us before themselves, the ones that put people before numbers, that would sooner sacrifice numbers to save people and would never sacrifice people to save numbers, ironically, they're the ones that enjoy greater long-term success, greater innovation, greater productivity, greater
Bob Chapman is a good example of that.
Bob Chapman is one of the best examples.
Just give a little anecdote about Bob Chapman.
Absolutely. Bob Chapman runs about a $1.7 billion company based in St. Louis, good old-fashioned blue-collar American manufacturing. When 2008 hit, they lost 30% of their business overnight. But Bob, who doesn't believe in head counts, he believes in heart counts, refused to lay anybody off.
That's great.
And so what they had was a furlough program. Everybody from secretary to CEO had to take 4 weeks of unpaid vacation. They could take it anytime they wanted. They didn't have to take it consecutively. But it was how Bob announced it that was most important. He said, it's better we should all suffer a little than any of us should have to suffer a lot.
Wow.
There's an interesting thing about leadership, too, is the ability to define the mission and how each person has a responsibility in that mission.
Well, this is what they do. They set a course. They set a direction. The leader is actually not the one out there doing all the work. Exactly. They're not in the weeds. They're pointing in the distant future what we can achieve and leave it to us to get there.
And give everybody ownership of the mission.
Most importantly, why would we be excited to partake in something and feel valuable if we don't even get responsibility for our own work?
Simon, you've had the last word, and let me tell you, you're sounding like an expert to me.
Well, thank you very much.
That's what you're sounding like over here.
Thank you.
May I mention the book one more time? Simon Sinek. There it is.
An expert on leadership.
An expert on leadership, that's right. Leaders Eat Last. It's on sale now wherever you like to buy your books.